Hello, and welcome to another episode of At Home with APS. I'm Mrs. K, and today I'm going to be joined by Miss Mays, Miss Lori, and Miss Kraft. We've created an English language arts lesson for you that's geared for our second and third grade population, but as always, children and adults of all ages are welcome. Thank you for spending your morning with us. So, as you'll remember, on Monday, we started a new unit. Let's look back at our new essential question. How do the goods we make, buy, and sell connect us? On Monday, we talked a little bit about goods and services that maybe our family buys during the week. And I asked you in your Frayer model to start making a list of some of those goods and services that your family uses. Tell me, or tell your TV right now, one of the goods that you wrote down on that list. What's one good that your family buys during the week? One of the goods that I came up with was gas for my car. I need to buy gasoline, which is a good, so that my car runs. What's one of the services that your family maybe buys during the week? Go ahead and tell your TV. So one of the services I thought of is, it's not something I use right now, but when I used to go into restaurants and the people working in the restaurant would take my order and bring my food, that's a service that I really miss right now, and I'm excited to go back to some of my favorite restaurants and get their goods and services. Today, we're going to be still thinking about that essential question, but we have a new word of the day. Are you ready to see what it is? Do you recognize this word? Now, before we read it out loud, I want to talk about it a little bit. Last week, Miss Mays did a really fun lesson where she showed us compound words, or two words that are put together to make a bigger word. Can you find two smaller words in this bigger word? Yeah, you see this word, in, and then this sight word, come. Exactly. Let's say it all together. Income. Say it a little faster. Income. Have you heard the word income before? Maybe you have. Maybe it's a new word to you. This is one of those compound words where the two smaller words don't really give us much of a clue as to what the word means. Maybe a little bit if we think of something that comes in, income. But when we're talking about income, we're talking about earning currency or earning money. Our dictionary definition for this word, what was this word again? Income, exactly. Our definition of income is earning money that comes from labor, business, or property. So that means that with different types of jobs, we can earn money or earn income in different ways. Maybe by doing work, by doing labor, or maybe by owning a business or property. Maybe if somebody sells their home or sells something that they own, something that belongs to them. Now that I'm a grown-up and I'm a teacher, I earn income by teaching kids like you. That's how I earn the money that I make. When I was a kid, I earned money. I had a different type of income. Now, Miss Lori on Monday in her story talked about that word allowance, where the little girl in the story earned money for doing chores. That's a type of income for kids. When I was a kid, my neighbor that lived next door asked me to mow her lawn, and I would mow her lawn once a week, and then she would pay me for it. That was my bit of income. But now that I'm an adult, I earn some income from my job. I want you to think for a minute. Have you ever earned income? maybe by doing something for a family member. Now I want you to think, how might you want to earn income when you're an adult? What job would you like to have? Or what jobs would you like to have? Most of us grown-ups have had different jobs as we've gotten older. What are some jobs that you might want to have? It's something fun to think about. We're going to talk about that more in just a little bit. Now let's take this word. What was this word again? Income, exactly. And income means earning money that comes from labor, business, or property. Let's take this information and go put it on our Frayer model together, okay? I'm going to put it up to my board. Let's see. Sometimes this thing's a little wonky. Might have to balance it. There we go. If you don't have this drawn on a piece of paper already, don't worry about it. Take a minute to draw our model. Remember, the reason we do this every time is so that when we're done with all of these units, we have a really great resource of all these wonderful words that we've learned. It's something you can use over the summer and maybe something you can share with your teacher when you go back to school next year. Or maybe you can share it with your teacher if you talk to them on the phone or on the computer. Let's start filling out our Frayer model. What goes in the middle here? Our word, exactly. What's our word? Income, exactly. I'm going to write it while you write it. Now, we need to write our definition up here. This definition's pretty long, so I'm going to shorten it a little bit. I'm going to say earning money that comes from doing a job. I'm going to shorten this part. I'll write it while you write it. Next, let's move over to our creative sentence. Can you think of a creative sentence that uses the word income? Go ahead and say it into your TV. Awesome. I'm going to share my creative sentence with you. Are you ready? My creative sentence is, I earned extra income when I helped my neighbor mow her lawn. I'm going to write my sentence in the box while you write yours in the box. Okay, now we're ready for our synonyms. This one's a little tricky. Can you think of another word with a similar I got my words mixed up. Can you think of another word that has a similar meaning as the word income? Oh. Maybe you're paid for something? That's a good one. I have another one. This is kind of a grown-up word, a $5 word. Let's see if you recognize this one. This is the word salary. So sometimes when adults have a career, their income is referred to as their salary. It's the amount of money that they make. Oh, I just thought of another one. Do you know this word? Yeah, we've got this tricky silent E at the end that makes the A say its name, so this is wage. That's another synonym for income. So many great synonyms. This last part, I'm going to have you do on your own. Remember, this is where you draw your illustration that matches your creative sentence. Now I'm going to give you one more challenge before we end our time together. Remember earlier I talked about the ways I earned income when I was a kid? And I asked you to think about what types of jobs you might want to have as you get older. Different jobs that can help you earn some income. I'm going to challenge you today to get out your writing journal and to maybe describe a job that you would like to have when you get older. Or maybe more than one job, because remember, a lot of us have multiple jobs in our lifetime. And maybe in your writing journal, you could describe that job and then explain why you would want to have that as a career. I'm excited to see what you all write. Thank you for spending your morning with me. Next, we have Miss Mays, who's going to do some really fun word work with you all. I can't wait to see what she has.
Hi, good morning, my readers and writers. It's Miss Mays coming to you again with some word work. But first, we, of course, are going to do a wake up. So if you are sitting down on the couch or on the floor, go ahead and stand up and let's wake up our body and give yourself some room so that you can move. Get your feet shoulder width apart, remember? And this one is called the wash me off. So we're going to pretend that we're outside at the beach and we're washing off the sand, okay? We have a sponge and some soap, and we're going to cross over and we're going to start washing that sand off. We're wash all that sand off your feet. Now maybe the back, because you laid down, so you got to get the sand off your booty. Now your back, and make big circles. Get your hair, and see we're crossing the midline, which wakes up our brain, makes our left brain and right brain work together. Okay. Do you feel better? Now we're going to save all the good stuff and wash off all the bad stuff and shake it off. Okay. So that's called the wash off, and that gets us moving. Now this one is called a brain booster as well, and it's new. I'm teaching you a new one. It's a little harder. You're going to take your right hand and cross over and touch your earlobe. Take your left hand, cross over and touch your other earlobe. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. There's an echo. But then you cross your legs as well. No, you don't cross your legs. I'm sorry. And now you're going to go down and take a deep breath and then blast off. Deep breath in and blast off. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now go ahead and cross and cross. And now we're all ready to do some word work. So now you need your pencil and your paper and get comfortable while I'm reviewing what we did on Monday. Does anyone remember what we did on Monday? We did suffixes. Yes, suffixes. We learned what that suffixes go at the end of words to change the meaning. The suffix ing means it's happening right now, present tense. Ed means it already happened. S and es means more than one. Ful is full of. And we also reviewed that when we're adding the es or the s for more than one, it goes, the es is, we spell those words with s, that end with s, ch, sh, v, and x. When they end with the ch, we add es, not s, like bunches. Let's see, did we spell one over there? Maybe we did, but I don't seem to have it here. But bunch, ends with a CH, right? So we would add ES. So that's what we did on Monday. So today I had said we would do prefixes, sorry. And prefixes also change the meaning of words, but they go at the beginning, which that's what pre means. Pre is a prefix. So I'm going to write it right here. Pre. And it means before. So when you see that in words, you can tell that it's before the root word. Let's go over that again. A prefix is a word part that is placed before a base word or a root to provide a different meaning. And so pre is before. Another prefix is un. Un. U-N. Can you think of what un would mean and think of any words that un goes at the beginning of? It means not. Un. When you see that before a word, it's not that word. We're going to go over some examples here in just a minute. How about re? Re. R-E. What do you think that one means? Like redo? When your teacher tells you, redo this, what does that mean? Do it again, right? Do it again. So, re doesn't mean again. Re means again, not do it again. But when you see it, it just means again. Then we also have the prefix dis. Dis. What do you think that root or prefix means? Dis. Like, the pizza disappeared while I was in the other room. Dis. It means the opposite or not, right? So sometimes it means not, but more times it means opposite. Then we have non. Non. It means not. Doesn't it? Like maybe non-active. That means you're not active. Okay, and we'll do one more because I was only going to do a few. But miss. What does miss mean? And notice it's one S. It's not miss with two S's. That's because it's a prefix. So it's M-I-S, and it means wrong or bad. Okay. So now that we know some of these, we could do a few examples of words that use them. Like pre, before. Has your teacher ever asked you to preview a book? Preview. Preview. Right? So here's that. Prefix, preview. What do you think that means? To go over it before you actually read it, right? Look through the pages, look at the pictures, scan the text. We also call it a book walk sometimes, right? But you're previewing. When you go to the movie theaters and you sit down and you get to see all the previews of the movies that are coming out and you're like, oh yeah, can't wait to see that. Or, no, not going to see that. You're previewing it. So you're getting a little view of what's to come. What's another pre-word? How about prepare? Prepare. Ooh, let's see. Prepare. Are you prepared for class? Did you have paper? Did you have a pencil? So that is not necessarily a This doesn't help you figure out what the word is, pair. This is the root, prepare. So sometimes it goes with a root word, and sometimes it's a root. Okay, what about un? Let's talk about the prefix un. What are some words that go with un? Are you thinking about unreal? Oh, unreal. What does unreal mean? It's not real, right? Not real. Or unkind. He was unkind to me on the playground. Have you ever said that? So it's like the opposite. He wasn't kind to you, was he? Okay, how about we did pre, we did on, re, which means again, do it again. So yes, reuse is a great one. Thank you, reuse. We should all reuse as much as we can, right? That means use it again. Wash out that water bottle and use it again. Or this is another one, rewrite. Good writers write a rough draft and then they edit it and then they rewrite it using the correct spelling and nice handwriting. But it's called rewrite. Write it again. See if you can come up with some other words. Here's return. Now this one's a little tricky. Return. If you buy something and then it doesn't fit and you have to return it, we know it means turn again. But yeah, turn again. So that is kind of tricky, isn't it? So, but that means you return it. Return to the classroom. Turn around and go back to the classroom. So there's some, so see if you can come up with some other words. We also have dis. This is a fun prefix because it means opposite. So you can say disagree. What does disagree mean? Dis, that means opposite of agree. Yes, I agree with you, but he disagrees with me. So he doesn't agree, does he? Oh yes, disrespect is another good one. Disrespect. So we know what respect is, right? We're being respectful. But if we're disrespectful to our parents, are we being respectful? We're not. So do you see how prefixes can be fun and they change the meanings of words and they help us be better writers and readers. So if you come to a word that you don't recognize, you can use it to help figure out what it means and maybe help you read it. There's lots of prefixes. These are just a few examples. See if you can write any words that use non and miss. I'll give you a little hint. Misbehave. Is that a good thing or a bad thing if you're misbehaving? So thank you for joining me today about learning about prefixes. And maybe we'll do some more on Monday, but Miss Lori is up next, and she's going to read you a book about economy and income and needs and wants. So thank you again for joining me, and I will see you next week.
Welcome back, readers. I am so glad that you guys came today, and I was so excited to learn about prefixes with Miss Mays today and our word of the day with Miss Kay. We are going to be actually using some of that information that we just learned in our reading today. So before we start reading, I just want to do a quick review and remind everybody of all the things that we talked about and learned on Monday. So this week, our essential question is, how do the goods we make, buy, and sell connect us? So we're continuing that today. On Monday, we started by reading a fiction text that had nonfiction aspects to it. And I just briefly want to remind everybody that the story that we read on Monday was about this young lady who got an allowance. And does anybody remember what an allowance is? If you said it was money that you get for doing chores around the house, you would be correct. So she got an allowance each week of $1, or another word for dollar is buck. So she got an allowance, and that's how she was trying to decide how to spend her money. So this was a fiction book on that. That was her income. Her allowance was her income, and that's our word today. So now, today, we're going to be looking at a different book, and this is a nonfiction book, and it is about real information. And the book title to this one is What Can You Do with Money? Earning, Spending, and Saving. And this book was written by Jennifer S. Larson, and this was published by Lerner Publications in Minneapolis. So we're going to be using this book to look at and understand more about income. But before we start reading the book, I want to take a little time and talk with you about the different features of informational text. So when you get a book that is nonfiction, they have certain features inside them that can help you as a reader to navigate the information inside and find just what you're looking for. Because sometimes you don't need to read an entire informational text to get the information that you're looking for. So to know how to do that, I'm going to show you. So we have the cover, but when you open the cover, one of the first things you find in an informational text is a table of contents. And the table of contents tells you exactly what things or what information you can find inside this book. So our first chapter is on earning money, and it tells us what page that starts on, page 4. Then the next chapter is goods and services, and that starts on page 6. And if you think back to Monday, Miss Kay talked to us about goods and services, and so now we're going to learn more about goods and services so that we have a deeper understanding of what we started to talk about on Monday. The next chapter is many kinds of jobs, and jobs are what we do to earn our income. And then the next chapter is making choices, and we are going to talk about that on Monday, and spending money, and we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to get to do some activities. But also in informational nonfiction books, there is something called a glossary. Have any of you guys ever heard that word glossary? It's kind of a hard one because it doesn't sound like, at least to me, what it is. But if I look on page 30, which I'm going to do, I'm going to turn to page 30. Let's see what we find. All right, so here is page 30, and it says glossary. And if I look down, it has all of the words that are the important vocabulary that we need to know to understand the information in this book. So if I came across a word that I didn't know, and I couldn't use my context clues, and I couldn't use my skills either chunking the word or using my prefix and suffix knowledge, I could come to the glossary, and at least it would give me a definition of what the word was, and then maybe from that I could figure out what the word is. So let's look at the words here. So we have the word allowance. Where did we hear the word allowance before? If you remembered that it was in the book that we read on Monday, you are doing great. So that was in there. And then it has a definition of allowance, and it says an allowance is money that adults in some families regularly give to kids. Now, I would not say that that was a perfect definition, because at least in my world when I was growing up and with my children, allowance meant they had to work to earn it. I didn't just give them money and say it was an allowance. They had to actually do specific things around the house each week to earn that money. But that is one definition of allowance. And then they have other definitions. I'm going to come down here to income. So that is our word today, is income. So let's look at that. And it says money a person earns or receives. And let's compare that to the definition that Miss Kay gave us. Earning money that comes from labor, business, or property. So that is kind of the same. It's just two different ways to say it. So that is what your glossary does for you. So now, when you're reading an informational text and you can't figure out a word, you can know to check in the glossary. The other thing that informational texts do that is very helpful is if you are studying one thing, you can go to a place called the index. And the index is always at the end of the book. And what the index does for us is it tells us where, on what pages within the book, certain topics are covered. So if all I want to know from this book is things about income, then I can come here and I can look and I find the word income, and it says that income is addressed on page 5 and 6, and then it's addressed again on page 18. So I can go directly to those pages. So I'm going to turn to page 5 and 6, and let's see if it is what I'm looking for. And right here, it says right at the top, this money is called income. So we know that it is about income. So if I wanted to just specifically look that up, I could look at page 5, page 6, and then I could go to page 18, because page 18 has something also to do with income. And I'm not going to read the page to you, but I can scan and see that word right there, says income. So that makes it very easy to help you navigate informational text, because sometimes we don't need to read the whole book to find the information on the topic that we need to be studying. So that's super helpful. So, okay, so today we're going to read this book, and while we read it, I'm going to be writing some things up on our chart so that we have a place to gather our thoughts around earning, spending, and savings of money. I can't wait to share this book with you. It has a lot of very interesting facts. Okay, here we go. So we read the table of contents, and we know that the first topic we're going to be covering is earning money. So let's see what they have to say about earning money. Earning money. Have you ever sold lemonade or cookies? Do you make some money? When someone works at a paid job, he or she earns money. So thinking about that, I have a job. I earn money by getting to be here. I have one of the best jobs in the world, and working with you guys and getting to find out fun facts about interesting topics. So that's how I earn my money. You might ask the grown-ups in your house, how do they earn money? And then you might think, how can I earn some money? So there in this picture, they are having a lemonade stand, and they are selling that lemonade for money. And it says this money is called income, and that's our word. And it says people trade the work that they do for income. And then we have another picture here with a caption up here that tells us about this person. This man is working. The income he earns at work may also be called wages. So wages is another way of talking about the money that you earn. So now you've also learned a synonym. Our next chapter is goods and services. Oh, but first, that reminds me, I told you I was going to take some notes. So I'm going to get my pen out, my marker out here, and then I'm going to write up here, earning money. And what I want you guys to think about is how can you earn money? So we talked about some things that people do. You can sell something. Does anybody remember from what Miss Kay talked about on Monday, what is it called when we sell something? Is that a good or a service? What do you think? You are right. It is a good because you can touch it. And then also you can earn money by providing services. Providing services. So what are some of the things that you could list under these two topics as far as what is a good or a service? Okay, let's go on to our next one. And now we're going to find out more about goods and services. People use their income to buy goods and services. Goods are the things we eat, wear, and use. A good is something you can touch. And so here in our caption it says, a cookie is a good. And it's good in many ways, right? Services are work done by people for others. So selling the cookies is a service for somebody, right? Somebody is providing a service if they are selling that cookie. Do you like to make things? When you make something, you create a good. And down here, our friend, this boy made a sea life scene. So he made a good. And then up here, it says, many people have jobs making goods. And these folks are actually decorating ceramics or pottery. So they're doing that, and then they will sell them to people, and then people will have a good that they can take home and use. And it says, these people are painting pottery, and pottery is a good. Do you like to help other people? When you do something for someone else, that's a service. So this young lady is babysitting. And when I was a middle schooler and high schooler, that's the way I made my money, was babysitting. So that's a great way to make some money. And then many people have jobs providing a service. Your teacher provides a service teaching you. So think of all those Google Meets that you're doing with your teachers. They're providing a service for you. So there are many kinds of jobs. How many workers does it take to make a carton of strawberries? That's a good question. And if we had more time today, we would answer it. A lot. Farmers grow the strawberries, workers pick the strawberries, then train and truck drivers deliver the fruit to a factory. Factory workers sort the strawberries. Next, they put them in packages. Grocery store workers put the packages on a display in the store. A checkout clerk sells the strawberries to your family. All of these workers earn wages. But people don't always earn wages for their work. Your mom and dad, or whoever lives at home with you, provides goods and services at home. Dinner is a good. Washing dishes afterwards, that is a service. So that's where we're going to stop today, friends, thinking about goods and services. And I want you to think until Monday about what kinds of goods and services do you use in your everyday life, and what does your family use, and are they different or are they the same? Okay, so now we're done with our reading today, and next up we have Miss Kraft, who is going to continue talking to you about money, and that is very exciting. So I look forward to learning all the things that she's going to share, and I also look forward to seeing my readers again next Monday. Have a great day.
Welcome, learners. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to continue our discussion that we had on Monday. Do you remember we sort of looked at some big words, and then we looked at some things that you guys use maybe every day, and that's money. remember we have that new essential question, which was, how do the goods we make, buy, and sell connect us? And that question is going to be really important today because we're not only going to look at the money that we use in the United States, but that other countries use as well. So remember we looked at that word currency. And currency is a form of money. So our currency in the United States is the dollar. But other countries have created their own currency, and we're going to take a look at those today. And you're going to see how they're somewhat similar, but also very different. So let's go back and look at that dollar that we saw from the United States. And we took a big, long look at that the other day, didn't we? So this is our $1 bill. And remember, we said that the person that's on it, his name was George Washington, right? He was our first president. The $5 bill, do you know who's on there? If you said Abraham Lincoln, absolutely. He was our 16th president. So do you know if we have presidents on all of our dollars? What do you think? We don't, actually. Alexander Hamilton, who was the first Secretary of the Treasury, is on the $10 bill. And the $100 bill has a picture of, do you know? Benjamin Franklin. I bet you've heard of him. He was one of our founding fathers. So we've chosen people that are very important to our history to put on our dollar bills or on our denominations. So remember that word? That was that really long word. Denomination. Ooh, let's clap that out for syllables because that's a really cool long word. Denomination. Ooh, I counted 5. Did you count 5 also? So good job. Pat yourself on the shoulder for that one. Nicely done. So a denomination is the word that means how much our bills are worth. So we took a good long look at this one, and it was worth, say it into your TV, $1. That's right. So it's worth $1. That's the denomination of this bill. All right. Well, now that we've looked at that, I'm really excited to show you some awesome bills from around the world. Now, these are uploaded onto our APS at Home website. So if you have a laptop or a device that you can access that and download them, that would be one way to look at those today. If you don't today, don't worry. I have copies here. We're going to look at them, and you can do it later if possible. So that's up on that APS at Home website. All right. So our first one that we're going to look at is really beautiful. Look at all the colors in this one. This piece of money is from Norway, and it's called the krona. Look at that. I bet you could tell me the amount, right? What do you see on there? That's 100, right? So this is from Norway. So I noticed the colors. Can you tell me what colors you see? I see some purple, definitely some orange, and some dark. What is that thing in the middle? Well, I wasn't sure at first either, but it's actually a ship. Yeah, because ships are very important in the country of Norway. They use them for exploration and fishing, and they have all kinds of natural resources. So that's very important to that country. Here's something else. What do you see? It's kind of hard to see up in this very corner. It's a bird. Is it a bird that we have around here? It's actually not. It's a puffin, and that's an Arctic bird. So puffins you see them, and if you go to Norway, you're going to see a puffin. And Norway is one of the 7 countries that have land above the Arctic Circle. Wow. Really interesting geographical information too today, right? So many famous polar explorers came from Norway. Wow, so that's pretty interesting. You can learn a lot about the history of a country just by looking at their currency. Say that word with me. Currency. Awesome. The next one we are going to go all the way over to Asia. That's a long way away from us, isn't it? And this is from a very tiny country. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Bhutan. And this is called an ingultrum from Bhutan. That's the name of their currency. Look at the beautiful designs on this one. Wow, what do you notice? I see some really intricate flowers, right? The thing that really jumped out at me when I looked at this were the dragons. I don't know if you can see them, but there is a dragon here and another one there. And I wondered why they use dragons. Do dragons exist? I don't know, but they're very important symbolically in many countries. And they definitely are in the country of Bhutan. So Bhutan was a land called Druk Yul, which means land of the thunder dragon. Oh, a thunder dragon. So because of their geography, Bhutan is really close to a mountain range called the Himalayas. Big mountain range in Asia. And they get lots of storms each year, violent storms that sound like a thunder dragon. And so that was important to them, so they put that on their dollar, on their currency. Yeah. And this is a $1 ingultrum. All right, so that's interesting about Bhutan. Now we're going to go to a very different part of the world. And this is a beautiful, very different colors, isn't it? This one is yellow. Yeah. This one is from Uganda, which is a country on the continent of Africa. That's pretty far away, isn't it? Wow. What do you notice about this bill? The first thing that I saw, maybe because I like to watch them, is the gorilla. You see the gorilla? And then there's a couple of more very faintly there. That is a silverback gorilla, in case you were wondering the name. And then you can also see the outline of the map of Uganda. So you can see that the Ugandans use their currency to highlight things that are important to them. They highlighted there were some people up here, some of their natural resources. So very interesting. Yeah, silverback gorilla. The next bill that we're going to look at is also very different. We're going back to the Asia continent now. And this is from a country off the coast of Asia called the Maldives. This piece of currency is titled the rufiya. Wow, let's look at this one a little differently. When you look at the rufiya, what do you see? Well, I picture very calm. Look at all the beautiful colors. It's pretty blue though, isn't it? So that makes me think of water and maybe beaches. Right. So the Maldives is in the Indian Ocean. And of course, they get lots of resources from the ocean. So what do they have on their bill? I see a sea turtle and I see a whale. So those things are very important to the people of the Maldives. So you can see that they use the water for transportation, for food, and for economy. It helps their economy, right? That word that Mrs. K taught you on Monday. You can see how the money tells us so much about a country. All right, so that was the Maldives. All right, now we have another one. And this one is also very blue, isn't it? This one is pretty cool. It's from Argentina. and it's the Argentinian peso. What do you see in this one? Again, I see water, right? Some beautiful colors. This is one of my favorites, I think. Look at how beautiful. You see the entire coastline. You can see the country outline. Look at these beautiful pinks in the sea creature. So you can also see that the sea is very important to their economy. So they chose to put that on their currency. I have something really cool to show you that Mrs. K gave me today, and I just wanted to share it with you. So she had the opportunity to visit Argentina, and she brought me some more money. So you can see that was one picture of Argentina's peso. And I have some, so this was a 200 peso note. She gave me a 10 peso. So if you can see that, that's quite a bit different, isn't it? So they must have some historical person on there. His picture's on the front. And on the back, they have a picture of a building, a scene from one of their cities. So quite a bit different, not quite as colorful. And then the other one she shared with me today was a 2 peso note, which also has an important historical figure in it. And then on the back, also a picture of an important building in Argentina. So again, not quite as colorful, but I still see some blues in there, don't you? And look at the number 2 down there. It's pretty cool. It's in 2 different colors. Yeah. So that's fun. Another one I wanted to show you that you may have had the opportunity to see is the Mexican peso. And I love this one. Mrs. K also shared this with me. This is from the Bank of Mexico, and it's just beautiful. It's a lot smaller though too, and it also has a different feel to it. It feels kind of waxy. This one feels more paper-like. So anyway, that one's beautiful, has a beautiful scene on the back. Okay, so those are some examples of money. And what I'd like to do now is have you think about a fun project where you can design your own currency. So you need to think about what's important to you. Now, downloaded on that website also is a square that you could use for a template for your money. And when you design it, I want you to think about what's important to you. Do you like animals? Are your family and friends important? How about the nature? How about outdoors? Maybe you want rock collecting, right? And you're able to put that on there. So I want you to think about the things that you would put on your own dollar bill. I created one that I want to share with you. And you can kind of see what my theme was when I created it. So here's my example of Mrs. Kraft's currency. And you can see that, oh, what did I put in the middle here? We all know that, right? I love the Zia symbol. And then I chose to include chili peppers on mine because we're in New Mexico. I made mine worth 100 because why not, right? But I can do some more work on it too. I have the sun up here because we know we're going to see some warm days here, right? And then the scroll. So I kind of found some symbols that were important to me. And I'd like you to think about that also. And maybe when you go to design your currency, you could start by a pre-write. You can make a list of those things that you might want to have on it. What's important to you? What things do you like? What colors? Those are all the things I want you to think about as you do this. And then you can create your own currency. It's pretty fun. And it's actually a little bit harder than you think because you have to plan out what you want in the corners and maybe the ideas that you want to have on there. That's why that pre-writing is really important. It'll help you get your ideas in your head before you begin to draw. And you can create more than one, of course. Sometimes we have to create a few things before we get to the right one. All right, so I'm super excited to see what you can create. If you do create a piece of currency, you can upload those and send them to our Twitter, and we can post those for you. You can also keep those in your writing journal with Mrs. K's Freyer models, and you can show those to your teachers when you get back to school in the fall. Those would be really fun to see what you've done. Maybe you could cut them out and play some games with your family. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm happy to have this time with you, and we are thrilled that you're here with At Home at APS.